Mortgage Weekly. We're here with you for episode 45, and we have some awesome news to cover. My name is Sam Thompson. I'm a local mortgage agent. I'm joined this morning by Joe Bladek, a mortgage broker. How are you doing this morning, Joe?
Not too bad, Sam. It's good to be here on Canadian Mortgage Weekly. Excited to be on episode 45. Thanks. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. I mean, the weather's not the greatest, but it makes it a good day to have a nice announcement in the office to, cover off some news. But yeah, we're definitely getting into some cooler days, heading into that winter territory. It's starting to get quite cool.
Yes, we are getting into those winter days. As you all know, fall is upon us. And yeah, yesterday was nice. It was very warm. It was good to get out yesterday and enjoy the sun. Those days are few and far between. I think the snow is going to start hitting us soon. Maybe we'll have snow on Halloween. The kids will be able to bring out their winter coats.
That's right. That's always the struggle, right? Is trying to fit the nice Halloween costume that you got, but you got to do it, over top of some snow pants and a
Yeah.
snow jacket.
I know. As a kid, I would go trick or treating, and I remember sometimes it'd be snowing, sometimes it'd be raining, but a lot of the times it would be cold. So, definitely get out there if you guys are out this weekend and it's warm. Hopefully it'll be warm. You can enjoy the weather a little bit that way. But that's stuff that, with the weather, man, that's always hard to tell if that's actually going to happen too, because I've seen it where it's supposed to rain, but it doesn't rain.
That's right.
Yeah. But anyway, back into the mortgage news. We do have a great episode planned for you all today. Today, we're going to be talking about the general mortgage and housing stats update here on Canadian Mortgage Weekly Live, which is Canada's only video mortgage news podcast. So you're in the right place to be able to get your mortgage news. So Sam, as you know, we've seen the housing market, for example, really take off in 2021. Now looking back at the stats since last year, we've seen some good increases, and especially even though we've had an election this year in September, we've seen an increase in September for housing prices by 1.7%.
Yeah, we have actually, a lot of really good news to cover. And that's a great, kind of starting point, because I know that there was a lot of, news articles, kind of coverage, some economists that were trying to, get an idea of where it was going. And, we started out the year super strong and had a bit of, not necessarily a lull, but it slowed down in the summer. So yeah, it's an interesting time to see that, we still have appreciated since September. And even looking at the year over year rate, we've increased 21.5% year over year, which I'm sure surprised a lot of, relatives that are talking to you, and they're saying, the market's going to crash. It can't sustain this. So it's really interesting to see now that we're at that, year over year mark. We're into the second year of the pandemic, and we're still seeing house prices appreciating.
Yes, definitely. Like you're saying, I've heard a lot of family members and acquaintances and colleagues say, you know what, this house price boom can't last. Get out of the market while you still can, that sort of narrative. But yes, it's been a good investment this year. That's a fantastic year over year return of 21.5%. Usually you can't really get that in the stock market. So it's been a good investment, despite a lot of people saying it wasn't going to be. And you had mentioned, Sam, you did a little bit of research there, and compared to the typical appreciation of, I think that was 13% that you found, this has been quite a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the rest of the article, I think it was from RBC there, talked about how, like, originally we weren't seeing prices to be forecasted to flatten until this year, but now they're talking about the prices won't flatten until mid 2022. So we should still see some decent growth between now and mid next year.
Yeah, so definitely if you're a homeowner, or if you bought in the pandemic, despite what maybe people were thinking or where the market was headed, you're definitely coming out ahead. And for any new buyers, it does mean, you might have to stretch your budget a little bit, or add that temporary cosigner. Again, any of those issues, if you're a first-time buyer or looking to get into the market, we say it, I think, almost every week, or at least I bring it up every week, that
Yeah,
we can work with you guys to get pre-approved, to chat about your scenario. Um, and yeah, we can run those numbers for you.
sounds good. Perfect. That's great. Well, looking from that point, from the pre-approval side and getting that all set up, we should talk about rates as well, because I know the housing market has been on a boom this year and rates have been extremely low. But we have seen, I mean, last week we reported that rates could rise on Canadian Mortgage Weekly because we saw the bond yield rising. And look what's happened. We've seen BMO, RBC, National Bank, all the big lenders across the board increase rates just a little bit across the board.
Yeah, it's been, definitely an interesting week again, even looking at, what the 5-year insured, uninsured
Yeah.
rate is. Even the pre-approval rate holds, they're creeping up. I know that, the summer, end of summer, even into September, it was still looking pretty good when we weren't sure if it would rise then, but it stayed pretty low. And now I think, yeah, we're starting to see, those rates jump up a bit.
Yeah, and with that, slight increase, we're going to see possibly a rush of folks wanting to refinance and lock in, or possibly renew early, and a little bit of an increase. I mean, you might not think it's going to impact you too much, maybe $5 or $10 a payment, but really at the end of the day, I think this article that we saw here from Canadian Mortgage Trends puts it at an extra, the small increase that we've seen puts it at an extra $7,000 over the course of a 5-year fixed term, which is quite a considerable amount of money when you look at it over the 5 years.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know that a lot of people are mainly focused on just, okay, what's the cost for today? What's
Mhm.
the monthly mortgage payments? And when they don't see it change too much, it can be easy to kind of be lax about it. But when you stretch it out over a 5-year term, and even over, a 25-year amortization window, it does actually rack up to quite a bit of interest or quite a bit of savings.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens going forward. I know that we have some important dates coming up, but one thing I wanted to share with all our viewers today was just the graph here showing the 5-year bond yield. So we can all just take a look at that together and report it here on Canadian Mortgage Trends. We see here that as of October 21st, it started to creep up even further. So because the banks follow the 5-year bond yields to price their 5-year fixed mortgage rates, because of this recent increase and the way it's trending upwards at the moment, we could see further increases. I know that Canadian Mortgage Trends has reported that it could tumble still. I guess we'll have to see, because next week we do have the Bank of Canada meeting, and
Okay.
and with that, they're going to be talking about what the Canadian government sees the economy. I know that the economy has been strong a little bit, so we'll have to see what they say.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing that employment numbers are, again, gaining that strength, gaining the numbers back. We're sort of back
Yes.
to pre-pandemic levels. The bond yield has, a lot of factors that are affecting it, as well as, where the rates are at. So yeah, looking at a number of factors and keeping an eye on where the rates are at with, again, you're saying next week's Bank of Canada rate announcement. For anybody who's got variable rates and are seeing fixed rates rise and are maybe a bit concerned, we'll have the answer for you next Wednesday when they make that announcement of, where that overnight rate is heading and where those variable rates are going to be at.
Mm-hmm. And with that, I think that is a good way to conclude our news today, because we really can't say much more between now and our Bank of Canada meeting next week. So definitely stay tuned for our special episode on Wednesday, episode number 46. with both Sam Thompson and myself. A little bit about Sam Thompson. He's actually originally from the Ottawa area. He moved to Barrie just over a year and a half ago, and he's been with Mega Mortgage, working as a mortgage agent. And yeah, he's married and lives in Barrie, Ontario. So yeah, Sam, it's always great to have you on the show. You always have great stats to come to the to our news broadcasts with. So thanks always for being here and for joining us today.
Yeah, I mean, thanks so much for having me, Joe. And for anybody who doesn't know Joe, Joe is a mortgage broker and has been in the mortgage industry for over 10 years. He's married in Aurelia with his wife and two kids. And yeah, Joe, I think that your experience in the industry definitely adds a lot of value to when we report on these articles. I think you're have a good insight for when they're maybe sensational or when it's actually, time to report on the news and make sure that, new buyers, homeowners, have the best information.
I appreciate that, Sam. Well, for all the viewers out there, if you're enjoying what you're watching, definitely like, comment, follow, share this broadcast to anyone that you might feel could benefit from this news. And don't forget to join Sam and I next week on Wednesday morning, probably around 10:30 in the morning, for a special episode of Canadian Mortgage Weekly Live, Canada's only weekly news, video mortgage news podcast. And we'll see you then. Have a great day, everybody.